Hey, my name is Elton, and this is a new mini-series on my channel where I'll be explaining all the weapons you could possibly imagine, from how they work, to who they're best on, to what builds it would be good for. This series would hopefully help make it a lot easier to understand these weapons and alleviate stress. Additionally, some of these videos will be discussing weapons series, as they have the same effects, while others will discuss each weapon type of a series separately, given those effects will be different. So, since this is the first episode of this, I thought it would be appropriate to start off with the starting region of the game, Mondstadt. And with the Knights of Favonius being such a huge part of Mondstadt's lore, gameplay, and wishing, I felt that the right weapon series to start off with this would be the Favonius series. The Favonius weapon series is a series of 4-star weapons that you can obtain through all wishing banners except for the beginner's wish. These weapons all have a substat of energy recharge to a varied amount, along with a passive that states that when the equipped character performs a crit hit, they will have a certain chance to generate small particles for all team members. This can only happen at certain intervals. The certain chance of generating particles, as well as the intervals of this effect happening, will increase and decrease, respectively at higher refinements of that weapon type. All weapons in this series start off at a 60% at refinement level 1 and max it out at 100% at refinement level 5 for the chance to proc the effect when landing a critical hit. And the intervals to activate this effect go from 12 seconds at refinement level 1 to 6 seconds at refinement level 5. At level 90, the bow, sword, and claymore have an ER substat of 61.3%, the catalyst has it at 45.9%, and the polearm has it at 30.6%. One final thing to note is that despite not seeing it in the effect, the equipped character must be on field to proc this effect. Okay, so the requirements of activating this effect are pretty clear. You want to have it at a higher refinement if possible, the character equipped with it would generally appreciate ER, and said character wants a low on-field time with preferably multi-hit attacks to proc this effect quickly. This weapon series is also best suited for sub-DPS and supports as opposed to main DPSs, so reducing the roster of characters for this make it easier. It is also important to build enough crit rate on these characters, which does seem a bit counterintuitive for the support units. For the sword wielders, the most suitable characters for Favonius Sword would be Bennett, Jean, Kazuha, Kaya, Karara, Layla, Lynette, and Xingqiu. Bennett's best time to proc its effect would be when his burst is active and he's able to spam his skill while he's standing on it. It has a shortened cooldown, allowing for more hits in a smaller amount of time. Along with this weapon being in her gacha art, this sword is Jean's best option for an off-field support role. Kazuha can utilize this weapon, but for a support role to boost his elemental damage bonus, he doesn't want to build crit to proc the effect and prefers an elemental mastery substat weapon. Regardless, it's still a decent enough option to get out his burst. The same can be said for Kaya. His burst is the best part of his kit, allowing you to switch off of him and cause reactions, usually most used in melt teams. However, this is not the best option for him since he wants a more damage focus option, but can still be serviceable to help bolster another cryo-main DPS in the team. With Karara, there is an easy way to proc her skill twice super quickly by holding it and then tapping it again to hit twice, essentially doubling the chance for her shield to proc its effect. It's important to remember that as a support unit, Karara will have to build some crit rate. Additionally, her burst is a multi-hit that gains 4 extra hits at C1 when she has 32,000 HP, so that gives her more chances to proc the effect. Speaking of shielders, Layla's rotation should be using her burst as her skill, as to get her Night Stars faster. It's honestly kind of hard to activate Favonius' effect with her though, since she doesn't really have any direct attacks other than her physical hits, which are not preferred in a rotation. As for Xingqiu, his skill state has an innate double hit, while his burst can attack multiple times over an extended period of time, meaning that it's another one of the best options for him. Now, I know that Sacrificial Sword is his best in slot, but sometimes it can cause cooldown issues, and Xingqiu can be quickly swapped into a rotation, attack, generate particles for everyone quickly, and then swap back. But yes, Sacrificial is best. Moving on to polearms, Candice, Chevreuse, Mika, Shenhe, Toma, and Xiangling, as well as Yao Yao, Yunjin, and Zhongli are the best characters for Favonius Lance. Getting Candice's burst ready is crucial for her utility to be able to apply Hydro quickly. However, if you have enough ER on her, and especially if you play her with a second Hydro unit, then Black Tassel is an alternative option. Chevreuse doesn't really need Favonius, but to battery her other teammates, she can make use of it as a support. Black Tassel is a better option for her to reach her 40,000 HP mark for her passive. Mika actually would appreciate this weapon, especially in a team where he's buffing Eula and he's the only other cryo unit to battery her. Shenhe's best free-to-play weapon is gonna be Favonius, due to the fact that she needs the energy recharge on it to help her build her burst. Favonius is a great option for Toma due to his long cooldown and high burst cost. However, if you're building him for EM, for a Burgeon build, then a more EM geared option would be more optimal. Favonius is second best after the catch for Xiangling, due to it working perfectly in unison with Emblem of Severed Fate on her. Yunjin would also want this weapon to quickly build her burst to buff normal attacks, and both Yao Yao and Zhongli could use Favonius, but again, Black Tassel would suit both of them quite nicely. As for bow wielders, we have Amber, Diona, Faruzan, Goro, and Yelan. Amber doesn't really have a lot of team synergistic builds, but as a support, she can make use of her cheap burst cost and her passive that increases its crit rate to give energy particles to everyone, especially since her burst hits for a lot of times. Diona is a great unit to proc Favonius' effect due to her 5-hit elemental skill, but Sacrificial Bell is going to be her best option at giving her more energy. With 5 chances to activate its effect, there's essentially 5 times the chances. Faruzan pretty much swears by Favonius, meaning that without it, it's almost pretty much impossible to obtain her burst in a timely manner for proper rotations. Goro is also in the same situation, where there isn't really any other bow that he can make good use of, unless it's Favonius. Building Yelan is almost exactly like building Xingqiu, meaning that giving her Favonius, just like him, is one of her best options, although yes, Sacrificial is another good option for her. Going to Catalysts, Baizhu, Charlotte, Mona, and Xianyun are the best users for Favonius Codex. Baizhu has a multi-hit skill that is usually cast right before his burst animation, keeping him on field long enough to proc its effect. However, Prototype Amber is a perfect option for him since it helps you build both HP and energy. Charlotte works well as a way for her to get her burst quicker, but you need to have enough crit rate on her for it to work. Mona appreciates the extra energy recharge, but she doesn't have much opportunities to proc its effect. Thrilling Tales of Dragonslayer is better as a support option if you have enough energy recharge on her, while other energy recharge substat catalysts would also be a good enough substitution. And Favonius is a great free-to-play option for Xianyun, but only if you weren't there for the Enkanomiya event back in 2.5 and did not manage to get Oathsworn Eye. And with the last category being Claymores, Beidou, Dori, and Sayu are probably your best options. One of Beidou's best builds is using her as an off-field unit, while other characters use her Lightning Taser Burst to proc reactions. This is done best with her being on an Emblem of Severed Fate build, which immensely boosts elemental burst damage based on total ER. Favonius can not only get her burst back quicker, but it does double duty by directly increasing her damage with an ER substat. Both Dori and Sayu are healer support claimers that need a lot of energy to get their burst, and with their energy recharge, Favonius becomes a pretty reliable option to accumulate energy. Dori has a multi-hit skill, and Sayu has a longer on-field version of her skill that can be played as a driver for teams. These multi-hits give more chances to proc Favonius. So, essentially, any character that has a high burst cost, in mainly support and some sub-DPS roles, would really appreciate this weapon. Most of the characters in this game are highly reliant on their burst to deal damage, trigger reactions, or activate support abilities. The Favonius weapon series makes this incredibly easy to achieve, while in some cases directly boosting damage of few characters, specifically the ones that use Emblem. Multi-hit attacks increase the probability of triggering the effect, which gives energy to all party members, not just the equipped character. Favonius can get a bit dicey on supports, since they aren't really meant to build crit, so stat balancing is another thing you have to be wary of. So yeah, this was the first episode of Weapon Wardrobe. I hope to cover other weapon series in the future, so please look forward to those. And today's episode was actually pretty easy, since all 5 weapons have the exact same effect. But yeah, you already know what button to press if you want to see more on a regular basis. If you have something to say, I can only hope that it's nice. Thank you, and bye!